Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the show, where I take a look at some of the worst reviewed movies of all time and find out what is it that makes them so bad. Now you may have heard of the Emoji Movie. It's an animated movie about emojis, and one of the worst reviewed movies of 2017. Now I'm going to start this episode off with a question. Was it a good idea to make the Emoji Movie? Well, from a business standpoint, yes. Very much so. Despite all the negative reviews, this movie still managed to pull in $200 million, over $200 million, on a production budget of $50 million. I'm also going to be fair and say that, right off the bat, it's obvious this movie was intended for kids. Not that it gives this movie a free pass, just thought I'd mention it. And just like every movie that's on this show, there's an audience for it. There's an audience for every movie. There's people out there that, went and saw this movie and they really enjoyed it. And that's great, however. We all know you didn't click on this video hoping to see me talking about how much I enjoyed the movie. No. No, you came for blood. You'll get it. The Emoji Movie mostly takes place inside of the phone of a young teenager. The emojis all live inside of the texting app in the city of Textopolis or some shit. Now, the idea of a story and all of its characters taking place inside of a computer isn't exactly a new one, and it's actually not one that I'm opposed to at all. In fact, it reminds me of one of my favorite shows growing up, the show Reboot. And any of my Canadian fans around the age of 30 will probably remember that. I know that's a really specific demographic, but whatever, it was a good show. Look it up. One of the big problems with the Emoji Movie is that it feels like a lot of the jokes aren't really fleshed out at all, and a lot of the time it goes back to the obvious. Hey look, the sad emoji is sad, even when it should be happy, and the happy emoji is happy, even when it should be sad.
Yes, well, we have business to attend to.
What kind of business?
Monkey business.
Get it? Because they're monkeys.
Oh, me and the boys are gonna throw ourselves on the barbie. Here's the sauce now.
Get it? Because he's a shrimp. Shrimp cocktail. A lot of the times I was either confused by the jokes the movie was trying to make, or they just fell completely flat.
Is that the time? Hey, my eyes are up here, pal.
So the main character is Gene. He's a meh emoji, and it's his first day being on the phone. His parents are meh emojis as well, and I have to say, Stephen Wright was the perfect choice to voice this character. However, I found these characters to get old super quick. They appear throughout the movie, and the problem, as is the problem with most of the characters in the movie, is that because they're emojis, the joke just revolves around the one emotion that they represent.
Don't blame me for this, Mel. I am hopping mad at you. See?
So the same joke just keeps getting made over and over again. We get it. They're indifferent towards everything. There's only so far that you can stretch that before the audience, ironically enough, becomes indifferent towards the characters.
Mary, I think we're being followed, but don't overreact.
Uh-oh.
I told you not to overreact.
Alex, the kid with the phone, decides to text the girl he has a crush on, and he chooses the meh emoji. Inside the phone, they have a big scanner which scans the emoji that's being selected, and the emoji has to emote correctly as it's being scanned. Of course, Gene screws it up and is now on the run from being deleted. And this is where I'll say that there were a few things that I thought were kind of clever ideas, like the private club for the emojis used the most, and another spot for the emojis which never get used, and the piracy app disguised as another app. But all these things, which I think were funny ideas, seem like enough to make a short video, not a feature film. So once they get outside the texting app, they visit other apps on their way to get to the Dropbox app in order to get to the cloud. And you may notice that a lot of these are real apps, which on one hand adds a sense of realism in terms of the actual programs and services one would have on their phone. But on the other hand, eventually it causes the movie to feel like a giant platform for corporate advertisement. The apps aren't just there in the background, they are part of the story. First they have to get through Candy Crush by explaining how to play Candy Crush, and then actually playing it. There's the Just Dance sequence where, as you might expect, they have to play Just Dance in order to get through it. They ride the waveforms on Spotify, and of course it all leads to the Twitter bird coming in and helping them save the day. Better strike a pose for the logo just in case someone didn't get the reference. Quite frankly, I would have enjoyed it a lot more if they would have had parodies of all of these apps instead of the real thing, because then at least it would feel like it's kind of poking fun at all of this stuff instead of feeling like a giant commercial. The movie references things that are so specific and topical that it could also be titled Mobile Phone Pop Culture in 2017, the movie. And this leads me to the biggest criticism I have of this movie. Early on, the film very much establishes the phone-obsessed culture in youth. But because these companies would obviously never agree to be referenced in a movie that shows them in a negative light, we know that the movie isn't going to criticize this culture, it's going to celebrate it. Remember the movie WALL-E? WALL-E took place in the future, and that future was in many ways a sobering look at how we live our lives and the self-destructive nature of some of the trends we see in our current society. Films like WALL-E and Idiocracy managed to do this really well while still telling an entertaining story that doesn't leave you feeling completely depressed. Especially with Idiocracy, it's like you watch it and at one point you're just like, damn, this could actually happen, but at least you're laughing at the same time. Anyways, because they keep jumping from all of these apps throughout the movie, it causes Alex to think there's something wrong with his phone, so he sets up an appointment to reset his phone and wipe all the data. At the same time that the phone is being erased, he sees Annie, the girl he has a crush on, inside of the store, but he won't go up to her because he's afraid he'll screw it up. And that's when Gene saves the day by making an emoji it just has a bunch of different expressions. It's basically just a mash of a bunch of different emojis. It's like a GIF. It's like a GIF emoji. It's not really an original emoji, it's just a series of ones that already exist. Cool.
Hey, I got your text. That's one super cool emoji. A lot of feelings in one. I get it. I like that you're one of those guys who can actually express his feelings.
What? Are you kidding me right now? This guy needed an emoji that's basically just a combination of 3 other emojis to express himself? That's the breakthrough for the character? How about this for the ending? The kid picks up the phone, he sees the emoji, realizes he doesn't need it, puts the phone down, goes over to the girl and talks to her face to face and expresses himself that way. But no, Mark, we wouldn't want to include that. We wouldn't want to show that these apps aren't completely necessary for communicating with other people. I mean, it's a new world here, people. Come on, get a grip.
Words aren't cool.
All this stuff, language, tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, it's not cool anymore, right? It's very passé, very last century. You can express exactly how you feel through one of these little pictures. Well, you just might be alone forever. I will say that there's a good message in here about being yourself, even if that means something other than what people expect you to be. And it really seems like that's what they were really going for with Gene's storyline.
We're encouraging kids and people to just express yourself and be who you want to be, whoever that is, and not feel out of place knowing that everybody, is trying to be one thing, but you're really all kinds of things.
Does anybody else see the incredible irony here?
It's a good story too, because as you go through the film, you begin to see how the best version of you, the best you, is the authentic you, not the you that you try and, box into. We literally have them in boxes, box into society.
Isn't this the exact opposite of the message that they're sending with Alex's character? Alex ends up expressing himself through texting emojis, the same way that everyone else around him does. And if the best you is the authentic you, then how is the authentic Alex the one who can only express himself through an emoji? Believe it or not, with every movie I do on this show, when I sit down to watch it, I try and give it an honest chance. Which is why I'll say that while there are just a few ideas here that I enjoyed, they weren't executed in a way that left me entertained.
It's just a really solid, good, funny, heartwarming animated film. It's just so good.
And I know this is completely subjective, but I didn't crack a smile watching this thing. I didn't find a single joke funny. I mean, maybe they're funny for kids, I don't know. Now, I know this video was probably a lot shorter than you were expecting it to be, especially when you compare it to the ones that I've done recently, but part of the reason for that is that a lot of the problems with this movie were reoccurring problems. So once I cover it, you know, it'll happen again throughout the entirety of the movie, but I've already covered it. I also have to say that the movie wasn't as painful as I thought it would be to sit through, but it's not one of those movies that is so bad it's good, because it's not.
It's just so good.
So no, it is not one of those movies that's so bad it's good. Definitely not like the next movie I'll be talking about in my next video. I mean, just look at this poster. What the hell's going on here? It's like half baby, half hand, holding scissors. I was so excited to watch this movie, and it did not disappoint. So that'll be a fun video to do. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time with this shit. Whatever the hell's going on here.
And, you know, or you full on wept like my wife did when she saw it, or I did in the bathroom immediately after the film in a stall by myself, holding a mirror, looking at myself cry to sort of remind me of the humanity that this film brought out of me. And it's just funny.